UDC recipes to an interactive visit. We call it UDC to interactive. So to start with, I would expect you to have a GDA open, an iSpy logged in, and you need to also go to this web page that is only accessible inside Diamond, so via NX or locally. So the address has to be HTTPS, and you might have to accept the risk of the authentication encryption. So HTTPS i04-recipes diamonds.ac.uk column 5555 / beta table. So to start with, you need to clean everything. So if there is any data in here, you don't need to log in for now. So if there is any data in here, you press the fire clean table, and that should clear everything. Also on the GDA, if you are on the data collection table, you want to delete any row and just leave the page empty with no rows. Okay, so back to our browser, we go to iSpy. You have your own visit, so I would expect you to go to your shipments, and in one of your recent shipments you would have a shipment. That's the URL for the shipment. You will also have packs. I'm going to exemplify first with the pack, and then after with the shipment, but this would also work with the sample that I'm not going to show. So essentially what we need is this ID over here, but you can just grab the whole URL. Let's try with the pack. For example, I have this proteinase K pack that has just a second for this to load. Okay, so proteinase K, 16 crystals in there. So I grab this URL, the URL for the pack in this case. I go back to my Q manipulator and I paste it on this one here. This is for advanced use, so don't worry. So you paste this in here, your URL for the pack, and you say parse iSpy URL, and you automatically will identify that is a pack. Now it will populate this table, and now you click setup from recipes. And now what you have is, for example, you have these 16 crystals that from proteinase K, and you say, oh yeah, I want to do a ligand recipe for all of them. So I just press change all, and you see the ligand was changed. But now I'm going to say, actually the first one, I'm trying to phase it. And if I'm trying to phase it, it asks for wavelength, and I want to probably go to 1.1 angstroms for this phasing experiment, and 2 angstrom is okay. Well, I actually want to have, I think my ligands will diffract to 1.8, so I just said, so change on all rows. But then this particular one, I say, no, the phasing actually is 2.1, let's say. And so on and so forth. You could also change the individual rows to ligand or native, and I'll just put one native here just for the example. Okay, so after you've set up your 16 packs, 16 pins in your pack with the recipes that you would expect, you say, please generate data collections. You wait a few seconds for him to generate the data collections based on this, and now you say copy XML, and this says copy to clipboard, and then you come here and you say paste from XML. GDA takes a few seconds to take it over. There you are. So let me just see if I can prove that we've done the right thing. So the first was a phasing, do you remember? So a phasing experiment, and he's going to do 2 data collections for the same sample, just confirming that is the same sample, prot1, proteinase K1, and he's going to do a Chi0, Chi30, like UDC would have done, and the wavelength would have been set maximum resolution 2.1 if you remember, and wavelength 1.1. So the next sample would be proteinase 2, and we said it was a ligand, so he's going to do just 1 chi. While proteinase 3 we said was a native, so he's going to do again a 0 and 30, but he's going to run it at default energy, and so on and so forth. So essentially at this stage you can just press run all, and this should just run. Okay, word of caution that we have a bug here, and it keeps this button use current beam size clicked. It's not a problem if the beam size is not changing, but if it's essentially don't click the rows. Don't click the rows because it can go a bit funny. We're debugging this. So now if you press run all, this would just run. So I'll delete again and do the example with the pack. That is a bit more complicated. So we go back to the Q manipulator. We clear. We said it's good to start with a clean sheet. We go back to the shipment. So on this case, on this shipment, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 packs. So now I select the URL for the shipment. I paste the URL for the shipment here. I say please parse I/SPY-B. Now instead of 16 samples, it's going to do the 4 packs. So it's going to take a few more seconds. So if you go through this, now you have 4 packs here. And now I can go to, again, if you remember well, setup from recipes. Now I have the 4 packs, so much more. And now I could say, hey, I want to do ligand on all of them, change all rows to ligand. And the resolution, I think it will be 1.8 on all rows. Please change that to 1.8. Generate data collections. Now it's going to take a little bit more because it's 4 packs. We're going to make this website a little bit more simplistic, more wizard-like. At the moment, it still requires a bit other things. So copy XML. So now I've copied 4 packs worth of XML. I paste here. Again, GDA will have to process this to insert in the data collection table. And I should see now 4 packs. Proteinase K, my robot tests, selenotamotin, and insulin all in there. So now if I said run all, this would just run and will be all ligand recipe equivalent. Now if I click one of the rows, just for you to see, ligand recipe, typical 360, and is deploying 10 megagrays of those because we said was 1.8, and this is what the UDC would do. Okay, so of course the one I didn't show is the single sample. Also works, but it's many mouse clicks for a single sample, but might be useful for you to get the bearings right if you arrive to I04 and you don't know what would be the good data collections. So instead of choosing the shipment or the pack, you could just select a sample. So how do you get the URL for the sample? We need to wait to get the URL for the sample. I have to reach the sample. So if I zoom in on the sample, so the URL for the sample, you get it. Sample ID is this one here. Copy. So you can use this one. Or if you are in the middle of a data collection, it's also this one here. So if you right click and you copy link ID, this will be the URL for the sample that you would paste here. So if I clear, I said I was not going to do it, but I'll just quickly do it anyway. So if you do the sample, it's much simple. It only has 2 collections because it assumes native by default, but if you set up recipes and you say ligand, change experiment, generate, and then you could copy paste, ligand will be 1 data collection, but if you actually do native, change recipe, generate data collection, this will be a ligand with 2 data collections. But if you say that you want to do phasing and you can change the resolution, blah blah blah, this would also work. Again, you will have to copy paste. And okay, I'll leave you at it.